All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call this regular board meeting of the Saugatuck Township to order on Wednesday, August 14, 2024. I will acknowledge that all trustees are here and accounted for. One of our trustees has our clerk, Israel, has a birthday today, so thank you for being here on your birthday, and thanks for being an excellent clerk. If you are able, please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to item number 3, which is approval of tonight's agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. I'll move to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
I'll support.
We have a motion by Marcy, support by Aldrich. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This brings us to public comment. Just a reminder, it's not a question and answer session. People speaking just on behalf of themselves are at a 3-minute maximum. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, 5 minutes. I understand that Tony Shippa, who is the chairperson for Emergency Services Committee and our representative here, I'm going to allow him to break the time limit because I don't want him to have to wait to the very end of the meeting to give his report on emergency services. It's very important. We do want to hear that and respect his time. So Tony, do you want to go ahead and kick off the public comment?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Let's do this right away. I'm here tonight because I'm very excited about this new program that we have going on in our community. I'm gonna talk about the Saugatuck Township Fire District and Life Ambulance Pilot Program. That pilot program is the north half of Saugatuck Township, the city of Saugatuck, and the city of Douglas. There was a news release when it first came out in June, and I've been asked a number of questions by people in the community. Why the switch? How did we go about that? Was it a fair? Did everybody have an equal opportunity between AMR and Life to speak and be chosen from? And is it better now? We'll kind of answer those things as we go here. And the question two that I was asked, how much time did you spend on this deciding what you were gonna do? It's been in the process for quite some time, but we'll back up we've been doing pretty heavy for 4 years. I can tell you when it really got going good was December 20th, December of 2020. At our Fenville Area Ambulance Board meeting, when the representative, the operations manager from AMR came down and ripped up our contract that we had, which opened the door for us to have Life give a new bid for the contract for Fenville. That went through. Fenville is now servicing the Fenville area, which is Fenville City, Ganges, Clyde, Lee Township, north half of Manulus, and the south half of Manulus and the south half of Saugatuck Township. By them being there and so close to Saugatuck, we thought maybe Life should come up here. And why did we go after this thought? Is that over the years, we have found that ambulance service, the ambulance response time was getting to be 20+ minutes and quite a number of occasions, up to an hour waiting. We are having to wait and even told there's no ambulances available. So talking with Chief Janik, Chris Mantles, and many other people, just not the three of us, there's the board, the fire board, mentors that I've worked with for 25 years in the fire service and in the ambulance business. How can we do this? Well, it was said to gather the two ambulance services together, talk about it, see if they can work together. How can we make this the emergency services system better for our community? Well, Chief Janik for 4 years sent emails to both companies, Life and AMR. AMR very slow to respond, if they respond at all, to phone calls or emails. Life Ambulance, and you guys know this, responded very quickly. They came and had meetings with the township here and educated you guys on what an ambulance service is all about. Chief requested meetings. Life came to the meetings. Life came with ideas. And AMR received the same amount of emails, but very little response. I'll tell you this, when the news release came out in the paper, June 1st, or that week, AMR was on the phone to Chief Janik, we want a meeting so we can help with this program. It's a little late. So June 1st, this program started with Life. It's called the pilot program. They started it June 1st. It's going to go for 6 months. And I want to tell you, Chief Janik is very happy with this. It's working out very well. And Life is working to make our system better. To the point, when they got here for the first 6 weeks or so, they keep track of times, numbers, amount of calls, and what they found out, our peak time in the Saugatuck area here is between 2 and 8 o'clock at night. So they, on their own prompting, put an ambulance over here at the Saugatuck Fire Station from 2 to 8. That sits their point. Yes, it can get called to go to a call in Grasstep, or it can get called to a call in Hamilton if it had to be, or in Holland. But they did that on their own. That's how serious they are about this program. And it's working out well. I don't know the call numbers and all that yet. We're waiting for the 6 months to see how this thing pans out. To the question of why did we switch? Again, Life and AMR were both invited to these meetings. Life is the one that showed up. Keep in mind, AMR is a company that is in 40 other states, so they're a nationwide company. We are a very small part of that, especially the Saugatuck area. Life is a homebred company. They're raised right here in Michigan. They started in their early eighties, late seventies. Mr. Mark Myers started this company. He is still the owner of that company. Speaking with the Chief Janik here, he says, one of the nice things about us choosing Life, he says, I can pick up the phone and talk to a supervisor or an operations manager. Maybe they're busy at the moment or on a truck, but they will call me back within a matter of an hour or by the end of the day. If I want to speak to Mr. Mark Myers, and I've done this myself when we were negotiating the contract in Fenville, that I picked up the phone, called the operations manager, said, will you hook me up with Mr. Myers? 2 hours later, the owner of the company is speaking to me. And we made a critical decision in that contract over the phone in a 5-minute conversation. Mr. Janik is so happy, and what his statement is, we feel like we're part of the EMS system. And EMS is a team effort. When you dealt with AMR for phone calls, yes, you might get a supervisor, but that supervisor could not answer questions like the Life supervisor or their operation manager can. They had to call the regional manager, and you might be 2 weeks to 6 weeks before you get some type of an answer. So it's that communication is very important. So that was one of the big factors of deciding that, yes, we're gonna go follow through with Life Ambulance. And like I said, Life works to make the system better all the time. Another example, when we were at the board meeting here for the Fenville Area Committee, Lee Township, their call volume is much higher than ours. Their response times are much longer. For years, I heard the committee talk about what can we do to help Lee. AMR never did nothing about that. Life has been in that contract for now going on a little over 3 years. And a year and a half ago, they came with an idea, or a year ago, they came with an idea of how to shorten up Lee's response time. And that is on the high end of call volume, they send the truck down there to go have lunch. They go sit at the fire station, and it's helped somewhat. So again, you're back to and wanting to help. Life also, when they were setting up this program, called me, said, Tony, give us some ideas where we could put our ambulances close to Saugatuck. Because I worked on the ambulance in Fenville for 20 years, so I know what the point system is and where the ambulances should be for coverage. We had those discussions. We were very thankful. They just called me 3 days ago if I would come and help them map out the new, what I refer to as the new Saugatuck North response area. What they want to do is know exactly the streets that covers, where it's inside of, so they can have accurate numbers on how this system is working for the north response area for Saugatuck Township. And again, they've done a lot in the last 4 years. They've done more in the last 4 years working with us than what AMR ever did in 25. The decision, and I want to make sure we all understand this, the decision absolutely, and I have that in bold print, does not reflect on the crews that work for AMR. They're very good people. They got good skills. They're willing to come. Some of those guys are a little upset at management because the management let this go. And again, their willingness to work. We did, you guys were part of all of this. We did a good thing about having Life come in here. Life is striving hard to make this thing work for us. Any questions?
I have lots.
Yes.
I'm glad you're here. This is important. This is good news. Thank you, Tony, for doing all the work. We know that your drive has been to increase coverage, decrease response times, especially in those, high priority calls. But as an added bonus, it was my understanding that Life and Ambulance is also much more cost effective.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that with?
Yes, I can. I just have to.
Sorry, I stole it. That's why I talked to it.
And the news release mentioned, because one of the people that I talked to, they were quite concerned, did we make this decision over money? money was part of it, but it was way down on the bottom of the list that made that decision. The money part of this, when back in August 2020, when AMR, no, December of 2020, when AMR came in and changed their contract, okay, ripped it up. The day before that contract had ripped up, their basic life support, non-emergency transport ride was $439. When they handed us the new contract, basic life support, non-transport, same as what I just read, is $1,055. They raised it that much. And all of them are raised. An emergency BLS emergency call is $1,693, etc. Life ambulance for a non-emergency call is $609. Now, we could go, I could read them all to you, but there is quite a difference. When Life bid on the Fentonville service area, they take all the calls by priority, according to the amount of money they would make and what AMR was gonna charge. They saved that community $1.25 million in a year's time when it comes to call volume. So yes, there is a big difference in that.
What's the feedback from the cities on this, and where are they at? Are they in full support of this pilot program?
I haven't heard. The contract was signed and could be signed by the Saugatuck Township Fire District. They are an entity of their own because there's no money involved in a subsidy of any kind.
Right.
The fire department could sign that contract, so they didn't have to go to you guys to ask for any Saugatuck City or the Douglas City, because they took on the responsibility to do that. Do they even know the difference? I don't know, unless you know what an ambulance that Life has, what AMR has. When you dial 911, you don't say who's in town, Life or AMR, who's coming. They just ask for an ambulance. And now Life is the ambulance that services this area.
One last question, sorry. The pilot program runs for 6 months, so is that just to see like if we're satisfied with the service and if they're able to be profitable, or how does, if you can just give me that in a nutshell?
You just answered it.
Okay, got it.
And it's to see if it's gonna work profitability for them. Okay, they have to make a profit. Now, do they have to make $1 million comes to mind? Do they have to make a ton of money? No, they just want to be able to be in the black. Mr. Myers is a gentleman that when he collects his money, he doesn't keep it for himself. A lot of people think they make a lot of money on $609. If they broke it down for us the other day. It's not much with Medicaid. Medicare pays $258 for a call like that. Some of those are not collectible for one reason or another. If they make a mistake when they fill out the paperwork, they get one extra chance. And otherwise it gets rejected. There's a lot involved in collecting that money.
So if they weren't profitable in the 6 months, then would we potentially look at subsidizing that, or is that an option?
That's gonna be an option. That's gonna be an option, and I mentioned to you guys when I come on board here as your committee representative and so on, and talking about EMS. I have been taught when I got into EMS back in 1982. I was a first responder in 1986 with Mr. Steve Stegman. He explained to me someday every community is gonna have to have a subsidy, like communities like this, because an ambulance service can only provide so many ambulances for so many calls before they start working in the red. And if they're working in the red too long or too deep, they'll have to pull that ambulance service out. And we have to look at what happens. Yes, that first 6 months, it's in the prime time of all calls. They're gonna see what they got, and I'm pretty sure they can figure out very quickly if it's gonna be sustainable without a subsidy. But we have to take one step at a time. I can't, my excitement in the strides we made is awesome. That we have an advanced life support ambulance right there at that station, 2 in the afternoon to 8 at night. And they're not very far away after those hours either. this was a dream of Chief John Block. For years, that just wouldn't happen. And I'm standing, here I go. I talk about that, man, because he saved me. In fact, in my trouble days. But I'm proud to stand here and bring his message and his dream to truth. It's awesome. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes.
Yes. First of all, let me thank you for your patience and perseverance. You've been involved in this for a long time. And as you know, Supervisor Bigford and I got involved our first month in office.
Yes,
We didn't know what we were doing,
Yeah.
but the chief helped us understand it. We worked with the manager, with you. And I've always been pro
yes.
life coming here to the township. Just some practical questions. When is the 6 month over?
Go started June 1st, so 6 months from there. What is that?
That would be the end of the year.
The end of the year.
And I'm asking just from treasurer's point of view.
Yes.
And the winter bill, we currently charge a millage to pretty much half the township, the southern half.
The
They
southern half,
pay
right.
to help us subsidize the AMR.
Okay.
So
Well,
the pilot won't
the
be,
subsidized the life agreement that you have on the south side. AMR is no longer involved down there,
so there is a new life agreement.
which has been, which you've already looked at, signed for the last 3 years, yes.
So we need to just talk about the dollar. But so the subsidy will still stay on the southern half or maybe
Yes.
it won't go to the north?
That's-
Call volume down there is so much lower request of
okay.
this, so, yeah.
Well, that was my question. Does it go
Yeah,
away
sure,
or does it get expanded?
The south half is definitely separated from this north pilot
So
program.
it stays, okay,
Through discussion and talking,
yeah.
we don't know how it's gonna turn out. We're hoping that it's a positive thing for all of us. And if it's not, the board members there are anxious to hear how this is gonna go. Will this area become part of that? You know, I said, it could be, that would lower their cost, our cost wouldn't be so much up here. If that had to happen, we just have to be patient. We've been patient for how many years
Yeah,
to get this where it's
almost
at?
6.
Yeah, and to see how that turns out, you know, I can't say,
Right.
yes, it's gonna happen. We have to see what the results are.
No, my concern is, for tax purposes, we need to know in November if we're changing, we change the amount of the millage every year.
Yeah, so the agreement's in place for 6 years, so we know every year for the next 5 years.
So the
exactly.
numbers don't change
Those numbers-
based on it,
No.
goes north.
But if
Okay.
we had to subsidize the northern.
Then there would be a whole agreement and then we'd have no, yeah.
And I'm saying we wouldn't be able to add it to the winter taxes.
But perhaps,
in time, so.
you know, check in with Tony,
Well, yeah.
the chief,
No, that's
in
why I-
November, right?
Cause that'd be a big change.
And I'm sure, I would have to believe, we get close to that November we say, or December?
Well, the bills go out December 1st. We need to know in
Our contract will be done in December. That pilot program will come to an end.
Okay.
And understand, life isn't just gonna drive away
Right.
come December 31st. They're gonna stay here. Because they're not that kind of a company. We'll figure out what to do after that. But I am sure come November, I would have to believe, and I would be inquiring, how are we looking? How are we looking? What's it look like for the future? I will go and ask that question. I'm sure Chief Janik's already got that question at the top of his list. What's it gonna look like at the end of this?
Rick, as you listed, you have a
Well, I'm sorry, one more question. Then I'll yield tonight. My birthday ballot. I think I've asked you this before, but I don't remember what you said. Does Light have a similar program where people can pay in to pay
Yes.
lower rates if and when they need ambulance?
AMR has an Ambicare membership. For those of you that have signed up for that in this community at this time. The way it used to go, and I hope it still is, that AMR, Life will honor AMR's membership until there comes due to have to be paid, or when that one runs out. Yes, Life has one very similar to that. I believe we have a brochure in the doorway out here in the
Okay, that I was gonna ask. But I'm not-
entry.
Hope so.
There's just a couple.
I'm anxious to sign up, but I won't do it till it's live.
Get online, read it, forget that, read it, call up there, talk to them about
Okay.
it. But I can tell you, everybody that I ever took care of that had either Life or AMR membership were very thankful. It really.
Oh, I know.
the-
I just never wanted to
Buy a whole lot,
so
so,
pay my money, but that's personal.
yes,
I
ma'am.
had issues with my mother who's now deceased, so.
Hi, Tony.
Look at
Thank you.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just appreciate your commitment to this. I wanted to ask you about the insurance because I have always been a strong advocate of seniors, especially getting AMR insurance or ambulance insurance.
Yes.
And I also wanted to ask you if it's, we talk about, you know, emergent and non-emergent, if it's real emergent and it's head injury, trauma, something that can't be treated in this area, do they transport to Grand Rapids?
Yes, they will.
They will.
Okay, and again, depending on that call, looking at that patient,
Right,
um.
all that information goes into the ER.
What I would do as the medic, I look at this patient and say, boy, I ought to be going to Grand Rapids. But I have to call medical control, which would be Holland Hospital.
Right,
This is medic Shippo, this is what I have. And they'll get the doctor, we'll discuss what's going on.
they determine,
And then he determines if I should go or come there to be stabilized. The nice thing about Holland Hospital, they've come a long ways. And they're able to handle an awful lot of stuff
that they,
before they transport them to Grand Rapids.
well, they used to be a trauma 3 and now they're a trauma 2.
Yes, so that's helped out a lot, but yes, I have gone from here to Grand Rapids.
Okay,
And-
and at one time, there were needs for transport of an RN on board for delivery of certain medications.
That's,
Do they still allow that?
well,
They
a RN goes along sometimes, but now they have critical care technicians.
Okay.
The paramedic is
About
taking
that.
critical care classes, which they learn all the drugs that the nurses had to learn.
Uh-huh.
They run all the pumps, you know, unless there is a complicated machinery, a vent, a pump, they'll take extra hands along. Okay, I, even being on the street, have had patients that had ventilators at home or had pumps at home. And who knows more about that equipment than the family? Man, would you please ride with us so we make sure that this pump stays running? What happens if it quits? I mean, they have all the answers, so we've taken family to help us, and the hospital will do the same thing. Is take that nurse along in case they had to.
So when they pick up somebody here, how do they determine if the person would go to South Haven, Holland, Zealand? How is that determination met?
If we're not a critical patient, keep in mind, we're 12 minutes from right here to Holland Hospital, prior to one call.
So is that the,
That person doesn't have much of a choice.
okay,
Okay, they need a trauma, what I'll call a trauma center. They need to go to Holland right now.
okay,
But if you are a priority 3 or priority 2, priority 3 meaning I'm just not feeling good for the last couple of days, I've had diarrhea, we know they need fluids, I'd like to go to South Haven.
okay,
That
they
patient has
will.
got the input. Okay,
okay,
that yes, we can go to South Haven, or I wanna go to Zealand,
okay.
or I'd like to go to Allegan. One of the things I always did when I got on scene, and especially with people that are, mature people in life. That I'm not gonna go, I don't know if I really wanna go, I would say to them, you have 99% in this of what's gonna happen, I get 1%. My 1% can trump your 99, but let's work together, so, yeah.
Okay, so the other question was that often someone who does call 911 for services isn't a senior, it's an elderly
Mhm.
person, someone over the age of 65.
Mhm.
And then the other piece to that is, if you start looking at that call, there are frequent calls often of certain people of that age. And that
Correct.
happens, so that's where I'm saying, is there a way for us to encourage people to purchase ambulance insurance?
Most certainly, just encourage them to get that brochure now, and what life has,
I mean, I think it's wonderful for people.
what life does, I brought the profile. Here, life offers a program that is not going on here yet, but they're working it around their other service areas, like in Kalamazoo, busier, bigger places. That they have a person, a medic with an SUV fully equipped. What do they call it there? but they go and visit people who are frequent callers,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
And because I myself with experience, we had a lady in Ganges. And the routine was her son would come from out of town. He hasn't been there for several months or 4 or 5 months. She would be very happy that he was there. He would leave. And 3 days later, she was calling 911 because she was having chest pain, nothing wrong. She needed somebody to come and talk to her. And she got very desperate where she had to have gotten on the kitchen table and thrown herself on the floor one time because she was so bruised up, wanting and needing that attention. But Life has got a program that they're working with, going to see the elderly people who are frequent callers. What can we do for you?
Okay, well, that's my question. Thank you very much for being here.
And what I encourage everybody, to go to Life's website, look them up. All this information here about what they do for their communities and what they do for this community is right there. I encourage everybody here, go to the Saugatuck Township Fire District website, all the information about the EMS system, emergency system for first responders, et cetera, their call volumes, the kind of calls they have on a regular basis, it's all there. Be informed and understand how busy they are with medical emergencies in this community. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, thank you.
And one more, if you guys get somebody that calls, Daniel knows this, but if somebody wants to talk about this, please give them my phone number and my email. I'll be glad to go to their house, have coffee with them and a donut. And discuss all this, okay?
Thanks. Are there other people in the audience that would like to speak at public comment? Oh,
There's separate comments for the hearing for the water.
yes, so those would be best in that public hearing time, and then there will be public comment at the end of the meeting as well, so, yes, this is not. No, whatever, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, are there people on, no, okay, good, that brings, I'll close the public comment section, and, the consent agenda, is there anything that anybody wants to remove from the consent agenda and talk about separately, or can we?
Madam Supervisor, I have a very quick, easy question on payments.
Right.
Should I just ask it now, or do you have to remove it?
I will, it's quick and easy.
Yeah. Let's do it. I would have asked you in the office. And I'm not questioning the expense, I'm just curious, the two, I think there's 2 picnic tables that were purchased,
That's for parks.
but they're, which parts are they in? Well, no, it's.
Oh, where are they going? They're going to, I think they're both going to Riverbloom Park.
Okay,
Yeah, they're replacing old ones that are falling apart.
that's all I was curious about.
Yep, they're going to Riverbloom.
If they're listed here, that's all, it caught my eye.
Any other questions or? No, okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended with a question that was answered.
Yeah.
I'll support.
Okay.
Motion and support for the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we have no new, no presentations tonight. So that brings us to item number 7, new business, which is appointments. We have some terms that are ending. And if you want to tell us a little bit about those applicants, Daniel, I know that you met separately with us and we've answered any questions that way, but just give us a little bit of information that would be appreciated.
Yeah, so the first vacancy is for board of review, that was formally published. We do have a vacancy because we have a member stepping down from their full member role, Cindy Osmond. So we have 2 alternates on that board right now. We found that the members are very active, oftentimes for the board of review, the alternates show up themselves, which is great because that's a great experience for them to learn. One of those alternates, Tracy Slays, has been very active on board of review. She's completed all the necessary education. She's attended all of the board of review meetings as an alternate. And now she is interested in stepping up to being a full member. I think it's a great opportunity for her, and it's a great opportunity for us to have someone who has a seasoned person. She would be stepping into the role just till December 31st, 2024, and then she could reapply for another full membership, which is another 2 years. Board review is kind of odd in that all of the terms begin and end on the same date. So we'll have to reappoint all of the board review members in December.
Was she invited to speak tonight?
Yes, but she is not here.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And I know we saw her not that long,
Yes, yeah.
Since she worked in election.
so I get a little.
Daniel, I noticed, in the sample question, sorry, I didn't catch this earlier, but it's my understanding that I only make appointments of, the planning commission.
Yes.
So should we change the motions for this and for,
How do you mean?
You do for planning, but not CBA.
Not for board of review. So anyone can make the motion for this.
right, but it says move to approve the appointment, so that would be like if I appoint somebody, they're approving it, that's.
I
what
guess
the
we could
language-
say move to
Move to
appoint.
Yes.
Yeah, we can say that, move to appoint.
Just get rid of that
Yep.
approve and both of those motions.
Yep.
Because I've worked, with Tracy, on board review, she's, very eager to learn. I know that she has gotten involved in the elections,
She's very conscientious.
yes, very conscientious, and I just appreciate her, stepping forward and wanting to just be more involved in the township. She's been well received by everyone, as far as I know. I would like to make a motion.
I would, move to appoint. The appointment, Tracy Slide, is that how you pronounce it, to the board of review for a term set to expire on December 31st, 2024.
Motion by Aldrich, support by Israel's. Roll call vote. Is there further discussion? Aldrich?
Yes.
Israel's?
Yes.
Bickford, yes. Marcy? Yes. Helmrich?
Yes.
Very good. Right. And again, would you kick off the second appointment, Daniel?
Yes, so again, this is for two appointments to the zoning board of appeals, and they are for full terms to expire on June 30th, 2027. We have two current full members who are seeking reappointment. The first being Denise Webster. She is actually the planning commission representative on the ZBA. So it's nice that she stepped up to not only be on planning commission, but dedicate her time to be the liaison on the ZBA. And then we have Tammy Kerr, who is currently on the ZBA and is seeking reappointment for that full term, which is also nice that she would like to continue in that capacity. I think you all know that the ZBA has been very active recently. And I think at this point, it's great to have continuity on that board because there is a lot of education, institutional knowledge that needs to be maintained going into some future decisions, ongoing decisions. And so it's great that that both Denise and Tammy are well versed. And they've definitely demonstrated that they have commitment to serving on this particular committee.
I'll move to appoint Denise Webster and Tammy Kerr to the zoning board of appeals for a term set to expire on June 30th, 2027.
Motion by Marcy, is there support?
I will support.
Support by Aldrich. Further discussion? Marcy?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Helmrich?
Yes.
Bickford? Yes. Israel?
Yes.
Right, moving along. Public hearing, Riverside Drive Dugout Road Special Assessment District. This is the last, step, and it's something that we've been talking about a long time. Daniel, do you want to this meeting before I open the public hearing?
Yeah, I know that most of you are here for the public hearing for the Riverside Drive Dugout Road Water Main replacement improvement. Thank you all for being super involved in all of this. This is really a legacy project for the township. It's one of the first things that I learned about when I started at the township. That this was a real issue, that there were multiple attempts to replace the water main, that it was a known issue. There was one attempt to actually shut down the water main completely. And I think that the main issue for the township was simply funding, that it was a very expensive project. That there really they've never reached any kind of agreement on how it could be funded. And as the years go by, that price tag continues to go up and up and up. I think the cost in the like the late '90s, early 2000s was in the 200,000 range, and now we're looking at a cost of $700,000. And this is, I guess, kind of not well timed, but like an opportunity to thank somebody. But the county was very thoughtful in how they spent their American Relief Plan Act funds, and they set some money aside for broadband expansion, and they set some money aside for groundwater improvement projects. And it was a very competitive process, and we had to show up to multiple meetings and plead our case and present information. But the late County Commissioner, Dean Kapiga, really went out for the township and pushed and was able to secure $350,000 towards funding this project. And we're still very, very thankful to Dean. And very sad for his loss, but it's a great legacy, I think, tonight to remember that he really pushed to get that funding for us. So based on that $350,000, the township was able to offer an additional $150,000 to get it up to $700,000. And so right now we're turning to the public and saying, would you be able to come up with the other $200,000 to help us replace this substandard 2-inch water line that is made of material that transitions, that we don't always fully know what it's made out of, that goes under a pond that could rupture really at any point and cause significant damage to the water system in its entirety, and allow us to replace it with a proper 8-inch water main that is looped, that we know that we have great water quality, to add fire hydrants for fire protection. And this is really kind of the last step in that right now we're looking at that special assessment role, and how each property was assessed. And so to kind of give an insight, their engineers and the attorneys do give feedback as to how a special assessment should be divided among property owners. In this case, the recommendation was to go by parcels or buildable lots. So who could actually get a water connection? So each property that can get a water connection is going to be charged an equal amount. In this case, it is $10,000. The township is offering to allow that $10,000 charge to be financed over a period of 10 years. Obviously, you have the ability to pay at any time if you wanted to pay it fully off, but you also have the option of financing it over a period of up to 10 years. If you have a parcel, but it is an unbuildable lot, that was not counted into that was not included into the equation. So tonight we're gonna open a public hearing to hear feedback from the public. But it really is to consider this special assessment district, and whether or not the assessment is fair and equitable.
Daniel, will you just clarify the township's amount?
150,000.
150, and then from Allegan,
350,000.
350, so it's 500,000, not 750, correct?
It's 500,000 dollars is coming from public funds.
Okay,
And then there's $200,000 that is going to be assessed over
oh, okay.
20 parcels.
Okay, thank you, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I did say this last time, and I think it was a little confusing. The way that special assessments work is that in order to move forward, you need over 50% of the property within a special assessment district to agree to the improvement. In this case, we have both the majority of property owners and the majority of land in the special assessment district in favor of the district. But it's not a choice of the township, it's just the law. So like we had an instance where property owners wanted to extend the water main, and we had 4 property owners saying yes, and we had 1 property owner saying no. And it just so happened that the other property owners had 2-acre parcels and the one had 40, which sunk the entire special assessment district. So it's not a subjective determination, it's what we're required to do. But in this case, we have both. We have the majority of property owners, individuals saying yes. And we also have the majority of the property in the district represented by the property owners saying yes. So I just wanted to clarify that point, because I think it was a little unclear in the last time.
Well, with that, thank you. I will go ahead and open the public hearing regarding Riverside Drive Dugout Road Special Assessment District. Right, we'll go row by row, second row. Mr. Stern?
Okay. Just a little bit of color, you know, we've heard a lot of, about the funding and the infrastructure and the opportunity. The water main project has built momentum and it will likely go forward tonight to bidding. We understand that. For all the benefits, I want to ask everyone to consider what we are giving up. 30 trees will be lost to clearing in the narrow spit of dune between the river and Heron Pond wetland. These won't be replaced since the new access road must remain open in perpetuity. Most of you will not notice this since the last remaining undisturbed and conserved land is well south of the turnaround. So a lot of people don't even see it, but it's important. But 13 more trees will be destroyed from the turnaround north to Dugout Road as part of the water main project. And these include a 34-inch cottonwood, a 30-inch spruce, a 28-inch oak, a 24-inch maple, and others. That may prove to be just the beginning, because by attaching the road resurfacing to the water line, which the township initially pledged it would not do, it's possible that resurfacing could involve widening. And if that comes to pass, then the county again insists on widening, as it did 3 years ago, we could lose another 80 trees. Now that's a high end, but that's based on their old design. So there are alternate routes that could have been chosen to avoid laying the pipe through the vulnerable pond and riverbank land. There are also alternative methods such as boring that would lessen the impact. Now these would be more costly, and this is the bargain that we're making. Avoiding the damage to the ecosystem from invasive construction and tree removal apparently is maybe not worth adding 20 or 30% to the cost. And an upgraded road surface is worth more than protecting dozens of trees. All right, so a little bit of color here. Irish poet John Donahue said, "I think it makes a huge difference when you wake in the morning and come out of your house, whether you believe you're walking into a dead geographical location, which is used to get to a destination, or whether you're emerging out into a landscape that is just as much, if not more, alive as you, but in a totally different form. And if you go towards it with an open heart and a real watchful reverence, that you will be amazed at what it will reveal to you." And I think that, he said, was one of the recognitions of the Celtic imagination, that landscape wasn't just matter, but that it was actually alive. And he said, what amazes me about landscape is it recalls you into the mindful mode of stillness, solitude, and silence, where you can truly receive time.
So this quality is what I believe is what is uniquely different and valuable about this particular place, which is undergoing the installation of the water main. And so what we risk losing when we compromise and accept incremental harms, always thinking that this time won't matter and won't be repeated, is that we have seen that it often does and it often is. I just want to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yule. Anyone else in the second row? Third row? Oh, sorry, Roy, I'm going row by row. I'm sorry.
Clearing that up, Danny, my questions were on a property owner basis that came out. The other question I had, are feeder lines going to be replaced
You mean the water service lines?
from the current line up to the house? Feeder lines, I know when water service stuff, so I'm trying to understand.
For the homes that are already connected, yes. For the homes that are not currently connected, no, but they'll be stubbed.
What does that mean?
That means that there'll be a point that's already connected to the water main, that if you want to, at that point, like connect to the water line, it's all set up for you to do. But the line won't be run to like
Where's this stuff gonna be? Is it gonna be on the road or will it be?
Well, it's all in the plans, it'll probably be like right at your property line, so like you won't have to you won't have to dig underneath the road. But it'll be, I'd have to pull up the exact plans to see where it is in front of your house, but they set it up so it's easy to connect when you're ready to connect. It's like a whole standard.
But people with water will have a line run from the line all the way around.
Yes.
Placement line, but is that an option to have that done for people who are at wells, just have a line run up to the house?
It's probably
They're
not,
all paying the same.
it's probably not too late to request it, but I think that it would probably be extra. But we might be able to reduce the cost if we're all doing it in one project, if that was of interest to you, but we probably.
Why just we're not,
Yeah,
why I'm paying the same amount as somebody who's getting the line all the way to their house?
so the part of the reason, well, the real reason is, I don't know if it's a real reason or part of the reason, but the lines that are currently connected have galvanized lead goosenecks. And the state is requiring the municipalities to replace all of them on the municipality's dime, which is the reason why we're replacing those service lines. So it's not necessarily giving property owners a new service line just to give a new service line, it's because we are required to replace anything that's galvanized or lead. So it's part of that project.
But is that at the house or is that at the current line?
It's the whole line,
The whole
it's the
line.
service line, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else in that third row? No? Okay. Mr. McElwain, please come and let us know if you have any objections or thoughts on.
No, I thought the last public year, I had no comment, you shocked you all. But I do have a public comment to make. I commend the board and especially Daniel and the engineers and for the patience to work with each individual property owner to go through this process as a full-time resident year round. That it's such a blessing to see that this is coming to fruition. And I want to thank you on behalf of myself, the family, neighbors, etc. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I want to make sure I got people's names right. Scott Stearns, John Doerr, Roy McElwain. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
They didn't
fair.
all
We're good.
introduce themselves.
Fair. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, please. And state your name.
I'm Scott Waringa, and I'm gonna just make a comment, because I watch a lot of these, and if people don't talk in the microphone well, it doesn't pick up, so
Okay.
it's just a side note.
No, no
Trust me,
problem.
I've been railing at people for years.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to do a good job of it.
Yeah, you're not that close to like yourself. There you go.
So I'm Scott Waringa, I own property at 6618 Dugout Road, which I own since 2016. More recently, and probably more significantly, I own 27 acres at 3468 Holland, which is known as the Macro Conservation Easement property. And I've been working closely with Daniel, Dana Bird previously, now Tyler Moyer, the township engineer. And I want to first just thank, those guys have been fantastic to work with. Responsive, email, phone calls. I talked to Daniel twice today. I just can't say enough of what a great job they've done. I really think you've handled things gracefully, tactfully, and I just really appreciate that. So, and I'm excited about the project. I'm personally not gonna hook up to it at my place on Dugout Road because I have a well. I'm actually getting a new water softener there tomorrow because we like our well water. But one of the things that is important to me and that I appreciate, and well, Scott, I appreciate your love of trees, and as my wife reminds me, I own more trees than one person should. I recognize the value of life over trees. And I look at my friend Roy and his wife Carol back there, they're getting older. And I actually witnessed a motorcycle accident right out front of my place at the farmhouse this summer and early spring. And I saw the number of response units that came. And when I think about, like, there was a ton of space there, so it was no problem. But when I think about if something happened back there to try and get, 4 sheriff units, 3 sheriff units, a fire truck, an ambulance, it's just not possible. And so I probably own 80% of the trees that are gonna get removed. And I just wanna hear I want you to hear me saying I approve of it, because it's more important to me to know that Roy or Carol or Marty or John or Scott or Cindy, whoever, could get the emergency services they need quickly because the road is the appropriate way. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. Well, I'm not looking forward to the project. I'm looking forward to it being done. I have a feeling our messy road is going to be messier, but yeah, just want to say thanks, and I'm really excited for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Just walk away. Just walk away.
That's a line.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? We have anybody participating, Morgan?
We might have.
I live on Riverside also. I don't like change.
Can you say your name?
I'm Susan Haas. I live on Riverside. Don't like change either, but I understand it. And I appreciate all your efforts and studying. We have to get fire trucks and ambulances in, and I understand. My only thing is that garbage trucks seem to get through fine, so. But I don't need to see it, but I understand.
Okay, going once. Going twice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close public hearing and invite the board to consider adopting resolution 2024-19.
I would like to move to adopt resolution 2024-20. A resolution for confirmation of special assessment role, lien, payment, and collection of special assessment.
Motion by Marcy, is there support?
Almost support.
We have a motion by Marcy, support by Israel's. Any further comments or discussion?
I'd like to, as you all know, and some of you shared this view, I've been very torn since the beginning of this. I love the tree laws, and I want to commend Mr. Stearns for speaking so eloquently tonight. It really grieves me. And I've always thought, whatever the plan that's presented to us, and we ask to see it, there's a likelihood that there'll be more trees taken. And that's in the hands of the road commission, and we have meetings with them, we've had a joint meeting with them. saying. I hope it goes in a conservative way in terms of the trees, because that road is so special and gorgeous. And of course, I recognize the safety issues and the majority.
And the water safety issues as well.
Right, so, but I just wanted to go. I like Scott, and the other Scott too, is he's been so, the fact that you purchased more property and turned it into an easement, I want to thank you for doing it. So,
It was already an easement, but
I know, man, me too. That's all.
I think it's a long process, like you said, it was one of the first projects you took on, and you have been process driven rather than results driven, so thank you, Daniel, I think it shows that. We don't have an angry mob in here to, you know, so thank you for, I mean, even if not everybody is getting exactly what they want, they know that it was considered, they know that it was a democratic process and that we're picking the best option. You know, so.
Thank you.
And
You all have been really great. I mean, it's change is not easy and it's a big thing and I appreciate all of you. I really do. So thank you.
did have a motion, is there any other comments? Okay, I'll hold roll. Barcy? Yes. Israel?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Bickford, yes, Humrick?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Item number 3 on the new business is the sidewalk proposal, and that's 46, thank you. This is
So another one of the first projects that we had to handle, and I think Becky and John probably remember this from planning commission, is that we found out a few things from the county. Thank you.
I thank you.
We found out a few things from the county. One of them being that Ivy House really needed to connect to a county drain, otherwise they'd have to build like a football-sized retention pond. And that this was not just the case for Ivy House, it was gonna be for the case for a lot of different properties to truly handle 100-year floods. And then we also found out that the drain ditch on Blue Star Highway was abandoned in the 70s by MDOT and no one ever claimed it. So there is a reason why there's a lot of phragmites and all sorts of things and flooding happening on the drains. And we found out the process for asking the drain office to establish a formal Blue Star drain. And we went through that process and we formalized it, and now the drain office is looking to actually create a Blue Star drain. Part of that is actually going in and repairing the drain so we have like flow of stormwater. Right now we have a lot of stagnant water, which is not good for many reasons. Part of that process, when we started getting into it, they realized they'd have to dig the ditches pretty deep, that it's in a commercial area. And so we asked them, would it be possible to enclose the ditches? And that we could include some green infrastructure, maybe some streetscape, and then the idea for sidewalks came up. That, you know, I think that, you know, Brendan knows that we've been working with the Blue Star Safe Street Committee on how to bring more pedestrian friendly infrastructure, especially to the Blue Star corridor. And so this body approved asking Prine and Newhoff to do a conceptual of a sidewalk, because we want to make sure that if we're improving the drains, that we also take into account where a sidewalk could be placed. So there's not a conflict and we're gonna have to redo something later on. So that's exactly what Prine and Newhoff has done right here. So they're showing an extension of a sidewalk about 2,300 feet. And that pretty much mirrors where the drain district is going to be on the east side of the road. They've also come up with some estimated costs of the project. The costs here include the sidewalk,
enclosing the ditch and removals and restoration. This is probably on the higher side because they have not yet broken out. What expenses could go to the drain district as a whole. And we really don't know fully what the removals are gonna cost. I mean, knowing that being able to plan ahead, we can avoid certain obstacles. But this gives you an idea that it could cost in the range of $455,000 to enclose the ditch, create some nice green infrastructure elements, and extend the sidewalk approximately 2,300 feet. I have gotten back with them with some of my own feedback. One of the benefits that came about from the roundabout installation was regrading, and it resulted in the strip of land to the north of Old Allegan and on the east side of the road being graded in a way where you could fit a sidewalk. Before, you'd have to have some sort of elevated boardwalk bridge. Now it's very easy to install a sidewalk, which they're showing here. And I guess I should preface it where the sidewalk's gonna be. So they're proposing a sidewalk starting at the northeast corner of Old Allegan and Blue Star. And extending, Morgan, do you wanna, instead of me just describing it, do you wanna pull up the map and I'll point, because I think that'll be helpful for everybody.
I don't know, driving past it on the way here, that was really helpful.
Yeah, you really were.
Played by.
Pull up Google alerts.
Yeah.
That's your corner,
Yes.
right?
The Old Allegan corner, yeah.
Yeah, that's your corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Northeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine too.
I'm not gonna take offense to everyone leaving when I start talking.
Can't get it all.
So is it gonna cross the road?
No, okay. So if you wanna come down a little, Morgan,
It's buffering.
okay,
There's the remote, there's.
Okay.
which one do you prefer me being at, which TV is best?
Doesn't matter.
That one, sure.
Okay, so head a little farther south, Morgan,
This is south.
a little farther south, and maybe zoom out a little bit,
Anyway.
zoom out a little bit. There we go, okay, now head a little north.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, we're perfect, that's great, that's great. And
Good to go.
get out of that.
Right, okay for a second. Easy, all the way to like that. What is it? The northern light, what's the one?
Starlight.
Star.
So right now, what they're proposing
Okay.
is they wanna start this
On this
sidewalk
side.
here, which is at the intersection, and go all the way to here, which is Old Singapore Trails.
Yeah.
So we can include this residential development, and then you'd have access to Penny Royal and Road Black and Ivy House and Capizo. So this is the stretch they're proposing. What I asked them to do is modify it, so, and you can tell me yes, yay or nay. But, and I can tell you the reason behind it. What I said is, how about we start it over here? So south of Capizo and go all the way up to here. So that would include not only this residential development, but then the Starlight Resort people would have a sidewalk, so they could walk down this way, cause right now we have nothing here.
Correct.
And if something did go in here with the new zoning ordinance, we could ask them as a condition to construct this section of sidewalk and pay for it. So that's kind of the option, that's what we're talking about, so the drain would start about here and go all the way up to here. And then we're talking about a sidewalk potentially starting about here and going all the way to here.
So the drain is on the east side of the road.
The drain is on the east and the west side,
Okay,
but
that's what I wonder.
the only enclosed part would be on the east side, because that's where all of our businesses are.
And we do
So
have a
we're-
bike path on the other side.
And we already have a bike path on the other side, yeah.
So where will the drain now, I've known in the past, but where will it cross under? to the west?
Can you go to satellite? Please? Got a satellite now. So there's 2 points. So it's gonna cross. Is it right here, or is it right, it's right here. There's a natural ravine that goes here, so some of it drains this way and this way, and then some of it comes down. Where is it? Oh, is the ravine's here, so some of it comes this way, and then some of it comes this way and this way.
So the drain will still go onto the Blue Star.
This is actually all exposed. But
Yep.
then when it hits here, there's a culvert, and then it goes into the city of Saugatuck.
Right, but when it goes across Blue Stars, it. must
Yeah, it'll be a
going-
culvert, yeah, you're right, it'll be a culvert.
But the sidewalk you're proposing will go further south.
Yeah, it'll start here.
Okay.
And it'll go all the way up to the Starlight Resort.
I like the idea of going to south.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way to go all the way to 134th, is there? I mean, you know, if you're going, you might as well.
And while we're.
I could ask them.
I don't know.
Somebody has
That
to.
would be bad.
I know.
Yeah, that would really.
Here, you wanna zoom out a little
I'm
bit?
talking about a crosswalk somewhere
Yeah.
right there.
So this proposal does include the cost of doing a crosswalk across the street. So we have to finalize where it's gonna be.
Mhm.
And I would really like it if the road commission might consider adding a hawk alert system so that.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what we can get,
Yeah.
but we can get, but we're hoping to get like signed crosswalk. Somewhere over here, so it's just a matter of figuring out what's the best place for a sidewalk, 'cause you don't want it to be at a point that's too wide. Cause that's not gonna be great for pedestrians, and you also want it kind of strategically placed where are people trying to go. So right now, you know, a lot of people who might be staying in downtown Saugatuck might take Allegan Road and they might wanna cross, you know, closer to the south. But they would still have a sidewalk to walk to some of the great amenities on Blue Star Highway.
I love Stacy's idea about extending it to 134.
I could ask for them to provide an estimate for that, and then we could always say yay or nay at some other point. I think I know, I shouldn't say I think, I know, and Brenda knows too, that the long-term master plan for Blue Star Highway does include a sidewalk all the way to 134th, actually even farther north. So we could look at
On the same
including
side of the road.
on the east side, correct?
Okay, I like that.
So I could ask them to amend the estimate, and then we could always come back to it and say, yeah, we wanna do that, or no, we don't wanna do that. It does save us money, I mean, that's the other thing, I know it's a big amount, but including
Doing it all
it,
at once.
doing it all at once saves
Yeah.
money, cause you have to pay for mobilization. You have to pay for them putting documents together, construction administration, restoration, all that work, all that costs money. And when you do it all at once, you definitely get more bang for your buck.
And then roads are shut down only once.
And this time, when the drain goes in, they won't have to shut down the road.
Nice. Oh, that's right,
They will not have to shut down the road. There will definitely be crews on the road,
Mhm.
and we will be prepared to coordinate with all of the business owners and do a much better job of communicating beforehand this time. But luckily we can tell them this is not going to shut down your road. The timing isn't truly finalized yet, but really they're looking to start sometime early spring and be done way before Memorial Day. I didn't wanna say Labor Day, people freak out, Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Can sidewalk money, I know bike trail money can come out of roads, can sidewalk come out of roads as well?
yep, so the way that, yeah, so not only sidewalk, but also crosswalks, because it includes non-motorized trails, sidewalks, and safety pedestrian feature,
So
improvement.
can you talk about the impact to the road fund that this would have?
I mean, it's a sizable impact because you're looking at, the road fund budget this year was really challenging because, for a few reasons, like we didn't know when the repair,
Little late.
a bill came in a little late. We weren't exactly sure what the improvements were gonna be this year, but, it's going to take a chunk out of the road fund this year and it's not just this number, there's gonna be another big number because we're repaving 63rd Street and widening it, so we actually have 5-foot shoulders, which is great for biking, so that's a huge improvement, not just for the road, but for pedestrians.
All the way to Old Alligator?
No, 65th from Wiley or Wiley or Riverside Road to M89.
Okay,
So in the south of the township,
so 65th.
yeah, but it's a big chunk, but we have a really healthy
Healthy.
fund balance, and I think the goal right now is to really.
Right.
To chip away at it and
Make-
bring those improvements to the public.
So will the drain installation and the sidewalk construction happen around similar time?
Same time,
Same.
same project.
Including the drain going into Saugatuck. So I assume, I know there were some issues in the past between yourself and the city manager relative to the drain project. Are they completely on board now? Do they understand what the need is?
They elected not to be included in the drain district. So that just means that they still have ownership over their culvert. So,
So none of their properties will get
no,
a drain assessment?
no. Morgan, do you wanna go back to the satellite for a second, please?
No.
Will that in fact impact the amount our homeowners, our property owners pay?
Yeah, if they're not a party, yeah, I mean, they were asked, the reality is that the assessment that the city was going to get was really minimal.
Okay.
So the answer is yes, but not really. Like, I think it was only like $1,500 they were gonna be assessed. But the issue is that once you get, so this is all us, right? This is where the drain or the culvert's gonna be under Blue Star. This is a ravine. And this is all part of our drain district, which is great because the drain office will now manage this.
Right.
There is a culvert here underneath the road where the water comes underneath and then comes back into this ravine. This culvert is owned by the city of Saugatuck.
Oh,
And we had asked originally if they wanted the culvert included in the drain district, because that would mean that the drain office would now own and be in charge of it, and that's not the direction they wanted to go in. And to be fair, that was a few years ago, that was probably.
so they'll be responsible.
They continue to be responsible for the culvert.
Well, if we did ask for an amendment to include, or a different bid to include a sidewalk up to 134th, does that delay anything, or we have some time? Okay.
No, what they really wanna know right now is like, okay, we did the design, we can do this is what it's gonna cost, like. We wanna know, are you committed so we can move forward? That's the question, so, like, yeah.
So back to the length of the sidewalk, it just strikes me that the sidewalk should be connecting to roads.
You mean it should go,
Old Alligator to 134.
the-
Otherwise, if it
It's a
stops
sidewalk
partway,
anywhere.
you're gonna get comments like we've gotten about the bike trail in the past, the sidewalks to nowhere, because they just stop.
I can give you my thinking.
Yeah.
And then you all can discuss it. My thinking is that. Right now, if we bring it all the way down to here, we start here. There's nothing on this side. It would take a lot of grading to bring in the soil, we'd have to get an easement, and not to say that's not part of the long-term plan, cause it is.
Yeah.
But it would just end here, so you couldn't cross, you crossed to nowhere. And you couldn't get over from here because you know how deep this big ravine is over here. So it would be taking you a big chunk of sideway to nothing. So that was the idea of how about we not extend it here for now, cause it goes nowhere. And we move it up to include the Starlight. Because we know that we have visitors at the Starlight, they're definitely gonna be wanting to use the sidewalk, they can get to these amenities, and they can also use the crosswalk to get to the bike path. But for this section, I mean, you could include it, that was part of the original, but just know that it doesn't go anywhere and you can't cross here, and if you tried to cross here, it's a big ditch to get to that crosswalk.
But couldn't you cross Where the roundabout is?
You would have to cross at the crosswalk, which is over here.
Okay.
And you'd have to go down a big hill,
Across.
cross it, and then to get back up to the landing point, so it's not the best. So you could do it, it's possible, it's all graded out, but I do think there's an opportunity, if this actually ever becomes developed, we could ask the developer. Yeah. So that's my reasoning, but it's not to say that's
I get it.
the end all be all.
So if it extends to that, the area south, they could cross the Blue Star and walk on the bike path. Is that a thought or no?
Over here,
No, back farther, right? Yes. right
Oh, yeah.
behind it.
you can cross here because this part of the.
You have access to the bike path there,
Mhm. And-
so,
And part of the proposal actually is to see if the road commission will give us 2 crosswalks.
okay.
One over here
Oh, okay,
and one in that northern
that
stretch.
makes sense to me then, because then they could get downtown if they were walking. Okay,
Yeah, because it's not easy to get to where the bike trail is, because they're using sidewalks, bike trail.
exactly,
They're gonna do that anyway.
They're gonna, yeah,
That's what you do.
that's what.
or they use the road as a bike trail.
The shoulder, right?
I think
Exactly.
based on the earlier pictures of the other town, which I can never remember the name of, that you showed us.
Oh,
Chickamee?
The curb appeal is so different, and I really think at some point that little empty piece where there's no businesses, but I really think it will draw. Maybe a restaurant or two, be nice for us, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Well, maybe you will have your own, but, anyway, just, I can picture the curb appeal in my mind, it's just gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah, when I was driving, like the pavement things, like
You were, yeah,
envisioning it.
yeah, I agree.
So it sounds like there's consensus that we table this, and ask. Manager DeFranco to ask for an updated bid, right?
Do you want to say, I would say that you
Approve it.
approve you're committed to a sidewalk project.
Yeah.
And then we can go back and we can ask for an amended
It gives you freedom to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not committing to any money.
So just ask,
Agree.
in addition to that, can ask for, an amended.
Yeah,
It's not even amended, it's just an additional.
Sure.
yeah,
It reminds what you've already done.
Yeah, just some additional
Mhm.
possibilities.
And it's pretty flat that whole way.
Yeah.
There is one part that might have, we'll see, I'll ask them, I'll ask them.
Will this partially help the problems at Penny Royal?
In my mind,
What
yes.
about at least access in
It'll
to?
cover some of the potholes.
I think that when they do the sidewalk, they'll probably
They end up being a
paint
bridge.
the apron.
Right, apron, maybe.
Yeah,
I was there this morning. They keep putting more dirt in and it doesn't do any good.
People can walk there from the start lane.
well, that's the
It'll be
other,
a lot better with the sidewalk.
It's-
yeah, all of a sudden, people who might walk from Starlight or walk from Old Singapore Trails, or even from the city, if you came up and you walk down the bike trail and crosswalk, you could do the sidewalk. So it does open up new pedestrian opportunities to get to those businesses.
I find it exciting.
Hi, I guess I just came in to say goodbye.
Oh,
Thank you. I should have stood up before and spoken, just as I really appreciate your recognition, by the way.
No, they-
I appreciate all of you, because this has been with the dugout, it's been a very long road. And you've all been very patient, and what you contributed is phenomenal, the way you balanced everybody's wants and needs. And this guy, I cannot say enough. I was gonna write you all, because you're the board.
And I, you don't have to.
We know.
Yeah.
You can email it.
Writer, editor by trade, and I don't know what to say. I mean, I have no words, because you walked a tightrope, very expert.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back, yes.
We appreciate it. I feel the same thing, John, about all of
Thank you.
everybody. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
All right, we can rename ourselves the Lucky Ducks.
Oh,
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I will, do we need to, you don't really need to make the motion at all
No,
yet,
we
right,
don't.
correct? Okay. I'd like to move to authorize the township manager to work with engineer and drain office to finalize engineering plans for approximately 2,300 feet of sidewalk on the east side of Blue Star Highway, a pedestrian crosswalk, and enclosed drains, and request county drain office includes this work in the construction of the Blue Star drain.
Motion by Marcy, support, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Israel's, for the discussion? No? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Okay. That can approve, oh, no, it does not.
One big one.
It's my favorite.
One more on new business, building exterior and site update. Go ahead and give us this in a nutshell, Daniel.
So it was in our strategic plan. It's taken me a little while to get here because this building nearly killed me. But it's done and it's beautiful and everyone loves it and it really was a great experience and I think we did a good job.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's just get some things on the wall.
I know,
Yeah.
that's a process. Yeah,
I agree.
I know, it would be nice to get some nice art on the wall.
And we've got stuff to put on the wall already,
Do we?
like proclamations from the MTA and our.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They keep growing in a small area. It's a bigger.
So so we've been interested in doing updating the exterior. And I think as part of that project, we surely should consider doing the site as a whole. Our work on the Blue Star Highway Safe Street Committee, I think really has highlighted that our position on Blue Star is really an opportunity, like not only to beautify the building site, but to contribute to making Blue Star a safer road. So we could create kind of like either like a kind of a pocket park, pedestrian plaza, sidewalk across the front of the building. We could add some streetscape to, you know, I don't wanna get into all the details because I don't know what a consultant or an architect would request, but the idea is that we have a real opportunity here to beautify the outside of the building, improve the site, and contribute to the trend of economic investment along the Blue Star Highway corridor
And temporary parking.
and to improve parking.
Oh,
Yes.
good, I'm glad you said that.
Yes, so there's some opportunity to relocate parking and then create access to overflow parking. So we have a lot of opportunity here. So this is a request for proposal for a professional architect and engineer to develop for us a plan to update the exterior of the building and redevelop the site. So I do have some in the project description and objectives, I do have some objectives that I think kind of match what we're going for. I would like to still clean this up a little bit, but it's pretty thorough, and it's broken up in such a way that we have a phase 1 and a phase 2. And the phase 1 is essentially the design phase. And breaking it up would allow us that if at any point we thought, let's wait before we go into construction phase, it's broken up like that. So we could wait, we could put it on hold. If we want to keep going, we would already have phase 2 in place and we could move forward with phase 2 and we'd have already retained an architect engineer. So that is for that. And then there's something else I wanted to add about this.
Well, while you're thinking about that, that's one of the most attractive things to me about it is we don't have to rush, we can just do this phase 1. We have a potential project, you know, that would eat up a lot of your time if it goes through, so I do like that, you know. We can just do this part now and wait on the, you know.
Do this part now, meaning get the RFP?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's set up so, and I think it's a great time to publish the RFP, and this is a time where a lot of people's projects are winding down.
Right.
And so they're gonna be looking to pick up projects, so this board would consider a proposal for the October meeting, so we're giving plenty of time for firms to get in a proposal. Hopefully we get some competitive prices in and we get some interesting firms bidding. And then we can consider it in October, and then we can work through the project over the winter, and then at that point. When we have, final designs, we can say, yeah, this fits with this fits with our project load right now, this fits with our budget right now, this is something that we wanna do, or. We wanna wait for this window of time to do the execution. So it's an RFP for that work, the exterior of the building update and the site update. And it also authorizes the creation of a steering committee. So,
As we had with the interior.
as we had with the interior.
Is an RFP usually this lengthy? When I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, if I were responding to this RFP, I'd be like, I don't know, it was a long RFP.
It's not normal, in general, it's normal for a project of this caliber,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, but it's not it's not, like in general, it's not normal, it's not a normal,
I mean, I've seen one.
Well,
Yeah.
Not a normal. No.
yeah.
No, it's
I had a
very
few,
special.
I had a few templates, and this is one that I borrowed from the city of Allegan.
Okay.
But we like what they did with their city hall.
We do like what they did with our city.
Yeah.
So if I may, because I would love to make this motion, so okay.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would like to move to authorize township managers to publish a request for proposal to update the township hall exterior and site. Assemble a steering committee that oversee project and bring proposal for work to township board for review.
Motion, is there support?
I'll support it.
Motion by Hallmark, support by Aldrich. Discussion.
I do have one point, to ask, so in assembling the steering committee, right? I'm gonna look for people in the community that have like specific skills in this area.
Mhm.
I wanna put that out there now, because if there is a board member who would like to serve on it, I feel like getting it out at this meeting or at a future meeting is the best thing to do.
So what, I'm sorry, what do you
So
ask?
someone who has direct experience
So,
of some sort.
yeah, so when I put the steering committee
Right.
together, I'm gonna look for people in the community.
No, I
like
got
this.
that part.
Yeah, so if a board member wants to serve on this committee and you wanna discuss that at this point, I think this might be the time, or if you wanna wait till October, that's what I'm asking.
Because the committee wouldn't be up for approval for a couple months, right?
No, but I would just kind of like hand pick, you know what I mean, I would, this person, like, I think we know one person with a lot of interior design experience who is fantastic, who would be on that committee.
I was wondering if she could chair it, actually, is that?
That would be great.
I think she was just fabulous, and if she's willing to do it, I don't know, if she's.
Don't ask her yet.
Why not?
She's about to have a knee replacement.
Oh.
So.
Oh, it'll be good because it'll be
Yeah.
like, actually, start.
Does she have a lot of exterior experience too?
Well, I would like to bring on someone who has architectural experience with, especially with commercial development buildings.
Yeah.
So that's on my list too, and then,
And landscape.
and someone with landscape
And
experience.
we're in the ODC with us still, didn't we kind of talk about that originally?
We talked about it, I think it's kind of outside their wheelhouse for what this project is, but I think it's within a lot of people's wheelhouses.
Right.
And you may want to wait until you get responses, because some of the firms or groups that would respond may meet all those categories that you're looking at.
And that's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah. That
Exactly,
would
so
be-
you don't have to kind of piecemeal it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
I would wait.
I think we can wait a little.
Okay, that's fine, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think you can wait and then see.
For the consultants or for the steering committee members?
I think both at this point.
Okay,
Well, you have to wait.
well, there's two people particularly in mind that I think would be really good on it.
Mhm.
But,
one of the Jackie Brown, the other being
Right.
Steve McFadden,
Oh, our new PC guy.
our new PC,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we don't have to appoint people piecemeal, I mean,
Oh, no, we don't have.
you don't want too many people on.
No, but I think I have the foundation of a really good.
Yeah, that was a great.
I would kind of wait till you select the.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I didn't know what
Knowing that that's, that
balance you need.
would be, I mean, we all would probably approve
Okay.
or support that.
Yeah. We can wait a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's get the RFP out first.
Okay.
yes, I think that's the first step.
Very good. All right, there is motion and support. This is just a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that brings us, there's no old business, so that brings us to the treasurer's report. Go ahead.
Okay, so August first, this year, we had still had $1 million in our general account, which is flat to what we had in July. General fund revenues are just about 7% under budget, we're only 1 month. It's due to timing differences on receipts that will balance out. Couple areas though that are exceeding, zoning permits are actually 25% ahead of budget already in over 1 month of the year, so that's good on the revenue side. Forget that next line about we did have a departmental overview of building and grounds, that was an expense to do HVAC for the police department, and it didn't affect the departmental. And it'll balance out too, because it wasn't that big, but we paid it in June, what month? July. And we're not gonna pay that kind of money every month. Let's see, tax year 24, you all know this, started July 1st. Peter is on top of things as payments come in. Consent agenda includes our first 2 summer disbursements. One was for $439,986, the second $674,381. Disbursements will go up as we bring more in. So wait till next month for that. Investments, I don't do my detailed quarterly report yet, but the total as of August 1st was, I'm estimating, because we don't have all, some of them only report quarterly, just under $6 million, up from 5.7 million last month. And just, I think we've mentioned this before, we have 1 CD and 2 bonds reaching maturity in November, which is right around the corner. So we'll be reviewing the best options for those soon. Treasurer's transition, I've said this, but it's gone very well. Peter has access to all necessary accounts and online sites, cleared all that, and we still have a fairly moderate list of procedures to go over that I've been waiting on, because they happen later for the winter special assessment is next. Personal property tax, Scott laws, but we'll get to those, and he's really on top of the most important things right now.
Wonderful.
Great. Thanks.
No, thank you, John.
You're welcome, thank you.
Planning commission report, is there one?
We did not meet last month yet again. We are meeting Tuesday and there is an agenda, so stay tuned. We thought when the moratorium lifted, we'd be inundated. There were a couple that said they were gonna come in with a plan and then they didn't, so.
Yeah.
But we do have at least 1, if not 2 real things next week.
Thanks, John. Manager report.
I actually don't have it in front of me, I left it in my mail. Oh. I'll just go through some of the big highlights. I think one of the big news headings is that we did receive an award of $50,000 for MISHDA for the Housing Readiness Program. So we'll have $50,000 to look at zoning and how it impacts housing. And I think we're gonna focus our energy really along the Blue Star Highway. And we'll be looking at more things than just like density. We'll be looking at parking, we'll be looking at drive access, we're looking at setbacks, but how do we encourage increased housing stock, diverse housing typology? So I think it's a really great opportunity, and Progressive AE is gonna assist with that project. They're the ones that assisted with putting together the grants. And they'll be assisting with that project with the help of Lene. Lene will also be consulting on that. And there's funds in the grant to pay for Lene's additional assistance.
So
So
that's,
are we looking at housing along the Blue Star or commercial development?
the grant is specific for housing, but you can also, as part of that, look at things that might be like tangentially related, like maybe mixed use.
Yes, exactly.
So do we want to, does. Does the commercial zoning allow for the integration of housing, or how could housing be integrated with commercial? So,
There's a big piece of land near the Shell station.
yeah. So that's a big headline, so that's really good, and then Brian and Newhoff is putting together our application to the Safe Streets for All grant program. So we're applying through the planning track. There's two tracks, one is planning, one is capital projects. We have to go through the planning one first, because in order to apply for the capital funds, you need to have a safe street action plan in place. So that's what we'll be doing. It's a very expensive project, but they will pay for everything, there's no match. So Brian is estimating the cost of putting together this safe street action plan being $250,000. So if we get the grant will pay for the entire thing. And then we will be able to apply for actual capital project improvements through that same grant program. So that will be a great source of funding if we want to start to implement some of the Blue Star Safe Street Master Plan. So it's really kind of setting ourselves up for access to more grant funding. So that's
If we don't get the grant, do we have to pay for it?
Yeah, we do. We have to pay to put together the grant.
That's, as you said, it's a.
Yeah. But the issue that this program is having is that not enough people have been applying for this program, and so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't wanna say it's guaranteed, but it's almost guaranteed that we'll get the initial funding, and then when we have that, and it's partly probably because of the stringent requirements, but once we have that plan in place, then we'll really be able to access a lot of federal funds. So, yeah, so that's that, and there are a lot of park things going on, I think you know.
Yeah, we met the other day.
We met the other day.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, and it was less than a month, well, I guess it's a little more than a month ago, but since our last meeting, the roundabout, can you believe it?
Yeah.
Feels like forever, right? It hasn't been that long.
It's so fun driving to them.
I get excited every time. I don't know why.
I only had one person just come to a dead halt and not move.
I've seen the freight.
Oh, no.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, still getting there, it just went through like.
But only one, that's not bad.
Nobody else was there, and there were a whole bunch of cars there, and it's so, you know, like, wow. It's weird.
So dare I ask, is there any update on the center of the roundabout in terms of structure and things like that?
We're waiting until September-ish to put it back out for bid, to see what we get. There's a few different options available, but yeah, we just kind of I wanted to give it
No, I
a
know,
second
I know.
breath.
So the RP is for who will construct the base and do the installation.
So if we get the bids in and someone wants to do it in the fall and it's a really good price, it can happen in the fall.
Okay.
If we get the bids in and the best bids in the spring, we'll do it in the spring, but we're just kind of seeing how it goes right now. And I think too, they just, see how people start, like, they're working with it and everything, but.
Is there anybody that's just gone through the middle, have we had that yet, or?
No, the one thing we did have was somebody cut the corner or didn't miss the turn coming west on Old Allegan, making a right onto Blue Star, and it was a big truck and they hopped the curb.
That's the Black Street.
Yeah, Black Street.
No, they ripped up all the sand in the
Oh,
road.
no.
But Glenn got in there, he brushed it up, he fixed the dune grass, it's fine.
Oh, good. So is the county road commission responsible for cleaning up the tire tracks at some point, or?
I don't think so.
Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
And it's disheartening, because it looks like.
well, the cement,
We
like
shouldn't
the
have done
color
it.
will change over time, it'll get darker.
Right.
And then we always have the ability, I mean, there's acid stains we could look at in the future.
All right,
if
well,
we
let's
wanted to change
just keep it in mind, because some of them, it's not everywhere, but on certain lanes, it's like, oh, look at that tire tread, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it's designed for, it's a mountable apron, so.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
well, we can maybe paint the curbs black.
And you wouldn't see it.
So someone's not seeing it now.
I thought they said that when they installed it, that all happened. You know, didn't they say that the people working on it kind of had those marks happen, no? Heard that somewhere, maybe not.
Might be true, I just don't know.
Maybe it was the jerks that drove through while it was under construction.
That could be.
All right, anything else, Dan?
That's the highlights.
Oh, wow,
We got a
those are
lot
good
of
ones.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right, open board report. I know I usually don't kick this off, but I'd like to kick it off today, if that's okay. Like to just say a couple words about, Dean Kapinga, our, county commissioner for this area, who was recently passed away, and it was sudden. It was not, it was a shock to his family, and, we're very sad. We, feel for those grieving people. But just one thing, there's so many great things to say about him, but one thing that stood out about him as I was thinking about it over the last week or so is just that Dean Kapinga is, he identified or his party identification is a pretty conservative Republican, and I just think how much people could learn from how he, like, here in we're, largely Democrats, and, how he worked with us and how he helped us get that, like you said, he just really put himself out there to help us get this money. He was always available, always just so ready to help, and, I think that he just could set a great example for so many people, and, that hopefully will also be part of his legacy, so.
It seemed to be a nonpartisan.
Right,
like,
right,
I mean,
right.
Well, except for the campaign.
Yeah, I didn't see the campaign.
Okay, but Stacy, do you have any open board report?
No, I would just like to echo that. I just thought he was such a nice man and did such a great job, and if I saw him other than here, he knew who I was and knew my name and always said hello, and he just did a great job. And I would like to thank you too, Daniel, for the way you handle questions from the community. Just your knowledge astounds me constantly, so thank you so much for all you do, and you make us better. I appreciate it.
Well, I do have a couple of things, but I mean, most of all, I do appreciate your words about Dean, and it was interesting. I was telling Daniel, I grew up near the Kapingas. Well, not grew up. I moved to Holland when I was in the end of sixth grade.
Yeah.
And we lived in a subdivision where the Kapingas did. And Dean's dad, Mr. Kapinga, was the Holland High School band director. And I really liked him because he'd stop and I'd be twirling my baton and he'd say, well, someday you can be in the band. So it's just, they were great neighbors too. Mark Kapinga was in my class, his brother. So it's just the family is awesome.
Were you in the band? Curious.
I was a majorette, yes. But I got away with, I didn't play an instrument. I played the bass, the big bass, when they let me, participate as a majorette. So, anyway. I just wanted to add one thing and ask you two things, but Stacy, I read the fire report, and so they might be meeting here.
They decided they'd rather make their facility ADA compliant.
Oh.
That was their motivation for moving here, but then when they started really thinking about it, we need to make it available there.
I just thought that was interesting, and
They used to have them
relationship.
here. Yeah, they used to have them here, and then,
Okay.
back a while ago, and then moved over there. But I think, they really do need to, we do have some board member over there that has difficulty getting to the meetings, and
Okay.
everybody should be able to attend them if they want to, so.
Absolutely. Well, and then you're probably all wondering about the election. And I think, it went well. We had our 9-day election with Saugatuck City. Some things happened, like, the electronic poll books went down across all of Michigan. 2 days, 2 different days for several hours. So I came in on that first weekend and, spent time with them, and Lori came in too for other reasons. So, but it was interesting and we got through that easily, actually. But, we had 804 people vote in this election absentee. So we sent out 1,100 ballots and had 804 ballots come in. That's pretty good. It's 79% came back of the absentees. We anticipate. And then we had 320 some people come in person and vote on election day, and 110 people come in on that 9-day and early voting. So I think, you know, that was in the 5 days that we did it. We had 110. And, so we are looking at, our next meeting with the election commission. I would like to have that sooner rather than later, because we're going to ask you to approve a 2-day voting process for the AV counting board. And that's legitimate in Michigan, but I think we have to file that by October 13 or October 19. So we have that deadline with the state to get that in. And so we think that that might be better, being that we had to do a recount at the end of the night and run those 800 ballots again, and we didn't stop running until midnight, so it was a challenge.
But you can't do that election commission like really soon, right? Like there's a specific window. I mean,
Well, it has to be at least 4 weeks before.
oh, there's
So
no,
they said.
okay,
So, it seems, and we can have more than one meeting.
okay.
So if we have this one to deal with that, it doesn't necessarily have to be including all the election workers.
No. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
So,
it'd be fine, good,
mhm,
but that's
Okay.
putting more pressure on you.
yes.
No, I know, I spoke briefly with, Deputy Clerk Bavinsky, and she very much supported the idea of a 2-day process as well. It makes
And we
sense.
would really like to do that. And we're really happy that we don't have to have 2 precincts. You know, so but we do have 3,400 voters, so we would have had to have 2 precincts. And, so anyway, when I took results down with Larry Hanlon, whom I really appreciate for driving me, because I was so tired, Douglas was there waiting for some of their stuff to be approved. I mean, it was 1 a.m. And, Lake Town hadn't gotten there yet. And someone else, Fenville hadn't gotten there yet. Manlius hadn't come yet. So there were a lot of results to come in. So I think, you know, they were just, it's hard to do a 9-day election. So anyway, it went really well, I think, in retrospect. That's all I have.
Thank you. Treasurer Helmer?
Oh.
Open board report.
No, I haven't, didn't think about it. No, I just want to mention, if you don't know this Friday evening is the annual summer dinner for the Alvin County Democratic Party. And I think most of you, maybe all of you got we relaunched the Saugatuck Douglas Democratic Group. Mailing list is already about 360 people. So if you know others that want to participate, we have a lot to do. Campaigns are going, and I just wanted to share that. Yeah, I know most of us went to the dinner last year, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm having someone drive me because I don't want to drive home from Wayland in the dark. It's a long way.
Okay.
But most of our steering committee is going. There's 7 of us that kind of have formed this group and are getting very involved, so.
I play tickets.
That's all.
What's your name?
Play, it's like SCA.
Oh, $9
Did you see the last time?
Last time where?
Here, they did it like 4 years ago.
You know, I probably did. I saw it in Chicago.
He's like, stop repeating.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have nothing. You're all covered everything. All right. Very good. There's no, I know I should go, oppositely next. Nobody, participating? No. Okay. So no public comment, close that and adjourn 7:52.
Okay.
Awesome. Well,